TruthSeekah and/or its affiliates are not responsible for any strange phenomena that may occur during or after listening to this podcast, which may include the following: heightened senses of awareness, psychic abilities, UFO sightings, alien contact, time loss, out-of-body experiences, ringing in the ears, ESP, lucid dreaming, increased synchronicities, astral projection, telepathy, stronger intuition, levitation, miraculous healings, and/or remote viewing. Please be advised to listen at your own discretion.
Won't you come and take me away? I just wanna be with you. Won't you come and take me away? To a place to walk on troubled seas, faith to stand when I don't believe. I just wanna be with you. Won't you come and take me away? I just wanna be with you. Won't you come?
You are now locked into the TruthSeekah Podcast.
Gargoyles! Psychics! Everything's ungodly! Dark savage!
Streaming live at TruthSeekah.com.
She's not a Christian!
Give it up, y'all.
Your portal to the paranormal, esoteric, and all things spiritual.
She's tampering in dark-sided stuff!
And now, your host, TruthSeekah.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is the TruthSeekah Podcast. How's everybody doing? I'm your host, TruthSeekah. We're going to get into some spiritual, esoteric, metaphysical conversation today. Hopefully we can get into some ideas and thoughts and things we can bring to the table that can help you out on your spiritual journey, no matter where you are. For someone who's really deep, looking for the next best metaphysical thought and idea and deep science, hopefully we'll be able to bring some of that out, as well as some of the simplicity that the average layperson can apply to their life as well. I love the deep mysteries and the simple simplicities to this life, and definitely to spirituality and esoterics and metaphysics. It's beautiful, every bit of it, because I really believe that even the simple truths are really deep and esoteric and profound once we really get into them. So it's beautiful stuff. We're going to discuss all of that stuff today on this episode. I got to say a quick shout out and thank you to everybody who is supporting my work on Patreon, everybody who enables me to do this podcast, to bring this music and art and things to the table. Could not do it without the patron supporters. So if you'd like to support, head on over to patreon.com/TruthSeekah. You get access to a bunch of cool stuff, my entire discography of music, which is 10 plus albums. You also get access to extra interviews and behind the scenes stuff, as well as our Thursday night School of the Mystics, which is the hands-on training fellowship group part of the podcast. So if you're looking for fellowship, you're looking for people to join with, like-minded, definitely head over there and check out the School of the Mystics. That's really fun. We get to connect with like-minded people. So quick shout out to some of the latest patrons we have within the last week or so. Give a shout out to Jared Jones, Alba Rodriguez. Shout out to, Corianne Mitchell, Alexis Sampson. Thank you guys for coming aboard and supporting the work. Very special shout out to the Diamond Body supporters. We have Noah, Adam Brink, and Benny Ween and family. Thank you guys for supporting at that level. You guys mean the world. Also, give just a quick update. We did the Shanti Fest this past weekend, which was a concert that I did there, and we also did the first ever live podcast. That podcast is available to listen to now on YouTube. I'm trying to get the audio rendered to be better quality because the quality of the audio is not that great, so I'm going to try to work on that. But it was a phenomenal experience and weekend all together. We got to meet a lot of really cool people. Got to meet Joshua Fluman, who's been a longtime supporter of the podcast, and he's actually been on as a guest. He actually drove up about 4 hours to meet us there at the concert, as well as a bunch of other friends. We all hung out and just had a meeting of the tribes there, so it was really fun to hang out experienced that. It's good stuff. So without further ado, we're going to just keep going on. I'm going to bring in today's guest. I'm speaking with Chantelle Rene. Chantelle, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
All these technical difficulties, man, on your end, now on my end. Now that we're running live, now the ball's in my court. I'm having difficulties, but we're going to make it happen. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. I guess a good place to start. Let's hear a little bit about your background and what you bring to the table, and some of the work that you do, and then we'll just take it from there.
Okay. Well, like you, I'm a truth seeker. As far back as I can remember as a child, I was just always in my inner world, communicating with creation, God, whatever you want to call it. So as a child, I was just always pondering about creation and just lost in my own mind with that. So the journey started for me very early. I was an only child and we moved a lot. So the inner world and the inner realms felt more real and solid to me than the outer world. So that was kind of where it all started for me. But over the course of my life, I've been dedicated to raising a family. I've been married 18 years. And just recently, I've, surrendered to what I know I'm here to do on the planet right now, is just to be in service of others' ascension, to help them along. So I just released a book, Aligning with the Divine. And I'm really passionate about merging science and spirituality together, because it brings the left brain and the right brain into harmony so that we can just embrace more, a little easier, I guess you could say. I've always had a great fascination with like cymetics, frequencies and sounds. And so I tried to do my best to keep this book simplified for everybody, but also give them practical tools to challenge their limiting beliefs, how to guide their emotions. So there's a lot of information in this book that came through me. I really can't take credit for, just being the only one. I think that it, was guided and I was just a vehicle for it to come through. So the book was something I didn't really see coming. I just kind of surrendered into the process of what I was being guided to do. And then, so on the personal work side, I do spiritual counseling and hypnosis and hypnotherapy. Past life regression work is extremely powerful for people to step into their inner healer and, step into their power. So I absolutely love that work. And that's kind of briefly what I do.
Awesome. Let me ask you this question. You said that you moved around a lot when you were growing up. Did you have a mom and dad there in your life, in your childhood?
Yes.
Both
yeah,
of them
my parents were teenagers when they had me. And my dad just moved I think I was like 32 schools I went to.
Wow. Yeah.
And I was an only child. But I really, now reflecting back, see how much it actually served me, because it kept me really in constant communion with the divine. I mean, I don't know what you use to describe. It's kind of indescribable, all that is. And that just felt so safe and so secure to me that I, was always inside, like in my inner world, like I was saying. It wasn't bad, I think, but when I was moving a lot, it was hard for sure.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, that's why I was asking, because like a lot of people who are into spiritual work, or people who are empathic, like they've had like a harsh upbringing, right? Or they didn't fit in, so they drew themselves away, whether it's to books, whether it is to mysticism, movies, that speak about this kind of stuff or whatever. And it just seems like there's a common thread there for people who had like an unstable upbringing. I myself, would go to a school for 2 months and then go to another school for 3 months and then go back to the same school, 2 months later. And I was always moving around myself, and I just kind of see myself one who, was fascinated in something that never changed, which is the spirit realm, which is God or spirit or source or whatever the case is. Everything else was like failing and unstable around you, but that truth, that dimension is always there and constant, right?
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. And I realized there was a very specific moment when I was probably, I don't know, I grew up in the South, like Georgia, Florida, Texas. And there was this moment where I walked in, I was fishing with my dad, and we went to this bait shop, and there was this big sign, and it said, "If you're black, don't let the sun shine on your back." And I remember it like hurting my heart
Mm-hmm.
because of the hatred just on that sign, you know? So I think I've always known that we were really ignorant of our more similarities than, I mean, how can you judge somebody based on skin color? I've just never been able to wrap my mind around that.
Yeah.
So, and being in the South was hard because there was a lot of that ignorance going on, and, you know, just judgment, and, you know, so that was difficult because I am definitely an empath, and that was hard for me. It's being around racism. Yeah,
I've definitely had to deal with that as well as one doing, you know what I'm saying, hip hop. I'm from the South as well. So being like a lot of times the only white guy and a bunch of black guys, you know, doing rap groups and even schools or whatever the case is, having to deal with that. And that's always been something I've never been able to see. You know what I'm saying? I've never been able to see color. I always judge the person's character. And that's something that kind of comes through as well. We've had to deal with that here in the South. It's insane. I think it's getting better though. Some people are still trying to hang on to that. It's kind of weird at this point, you know, to see this generation trying to hang on to that. It's so far out the window. But yeah, just being empathic, man. Just being with the people who are oppressed, being with the people who are hurting, who are struggling, and those are, you know, I think in the end, they really do have the coolest stories, and they are the coolest people, man. People that have been through some type of struggle, right? And so that's something that's really cool to think about coming from the South. I wanted to ask you this because I was looking through your book, and it was funny too as I was reading it, and I was sharing out on the Discord who I was interviewing today, and a bunch of the people went over there and checked out your website, read the synopsis of the book, and immediately bought it without even hearing the interview. They just went over there, bought the book. It's like, yeah, I need this in my life. So shout out to those people who did that, and everybody, make sure you go over there and support her work as well. But wanted to talk to you about this idea because this is something that I've dealt with in my life personally, and then again I have friends who are kind of caught up in this cycle as well. But one of the things in your book, you say that you kind of help people deal with breaking the cycle of self-sabotage patterns, and that can be really devastating if you're building something up, if it's a life's dream, a goal, if you're headed down a path, and then you just like do one thing that just tears it all up or just pulls the platform out from up under it, everything that you've been building upon. I've done it on many occasions, and if you're not careful, you can keep doing it, right? I have friends who have done it, and they've, you know, made a lot of people mad over the years doing it, and they always come back though. That's the thing. Like, they're on a path, and then they self-sabotage, curse everybody out, whatever the case is. They run away from that, and then they come back and try to act like nothing ever happened, but you can't really undo that stuff. Essentially, talk a little bit about the self-sabotaging.
Well, one of the main things that I think that we were definitely not taught to do growing up is to check in with like your thoughts. I mean, our thoughts are incredibly powerful. I think, you know, the New Thought movement kind of addresses that, but harnessing the power of your thoughts and really knowing what you're thinking is one of the most powerful ways to stop that. But it is a process. And so I work with the subconscious mind a lot with people, and we collect, you know, wounds and traumas and negative thoughts. When you're a child, someone says something to you, or, you know, you've been bullied, those collect in our energy body. So if you think about like our nervous system, I mean, we're wired to receive free-flowing energy, and then these experiences happen, and it blocks the flow coming through. So when you work in the subconscious mind, you can basically redirect all of the. You can basically have those leave, and then communicate directly to your subconscious mind, and then those patterns will be broke. So that's the quickest, most effective way, I would say, is hypnosis, by going directly into the subconscious mind. But then you also really have to look at what those blocks are. Why are you sabotaging yourself? Where did that come from? And then once you look at it through the lens of awareness and no judgment, it's really important to be not judgmental of yourself. And then once you look at it, then it's really up to you to choose if you're going to fuel that, or if you're going to fuel your focus of what you really want to do. But self-sabotage also, we also can fear stepping into our greatness. We can fear, you know, achieving something. Mm-hmm. So it's really just inner reflection. We all have to take time to really think about what we want and do that inner work, because nobody else can do it for us.
So why do you think people do that? I'm saying I'm really hitting on this because I've done it. So where people would be scared of their destiny because their dreams are too big, or they don't feel like they deserve it, like they want it, but when they really think about it, there's no way. Their family, they come from a family who was in poverty, they didn't go to school, all of these things that are like kind of like weighing against them.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So you know what I'm saying? So they feel like they're unworthy. So when they get close to it, they start getting successful or whatever, then they just turn around and destroy everything. Is that pretty much what it looks like a lot of times?
Well, yeah, I think so. And, we're a product of our environment, what we grew up with. Like, I mean, if you have parents that were programmed by their parents that, who were in the depression or whatever, it gets passed down to keep ourselves thinking small. I remember specifically a family member of mine saying to me, "Oh, you can't write a book." And I was like, watch me. But, so we have to think about like, where we absorb other people's projections, because other people don't understand how they are emitting their inner junk onto other people. And we just take it as truth because we're not in our power yet most of the time. But yeah, I mean, think about even when we don't realize it, like our imperfections offer us reflections. So it just depends on how serious you're struggling. Like, are you struggling to where you have such low self-esteem that you're going out and seeking love outside of yourself from random casual sexual partners, or just you're maybe giving all of your energy away freely, So it's really a circumstantial thing, I think. But yeah, of course, I really recommend working on yourself. It's the greatest thing you can do for yourself as well as for humanity.
Because I feel like if you don't, find that healing, you kind of take that stuff with you into your relationships, into your practice.
Oh yeah,
just like that extra baggage.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. I'm all about like you have responsibility for the energy that we give as well as receive. Because before I think actually now that it comes full circle for me, once you do that, once you're ready to be responsible for what you're thinking, what you're putting out into the world and what you're taking in, and that takes spiritual maturity. But when you look, through your daily experiences and your relationships, and you I like to say, like, you go into a higher perspective and you just look down at everything, and you also have to kind of be in your heart. You really have to be able to be in a space of compassion for yourself and for others. Otherwise, you're not taking the path of least resistance, I guess we could say. Because when you're living from your heart first, things tend to move a lot more effortlessly. At least that's what I've found. Because the mind, we've been taught, is the powerful, all Mecca. But it's actually, I feel like once the heart's online, then the mind follows.
What do you think is the best way to do that? I mean, or where's a good place to start? I know you talk about hypnosis and things like that. Self-hypnosis, is it just kind of admitting it, or like that's kind of a good place to start, that you just need to admit that you need help, or admit that you have these character flaws and defects and things like that? Where's a good place to start?
Well, you just gotta get humble and just realize that you have imperfections, but I think our imperfections are gifts for this experience on the planet as well. So I don't want people to get lost in that, but we just have to be able to sit with ourselves in an unconditional space, look at it, and be willing to move into the feelings that don't necessarily feel good. And that's a belief in itself that, I don't want to feel that because it hurts, but life's meant to be felt. So once if you just move through that, whatever is hurting you, it doesn't have any more power. It gets, integrated. So a good place to start is challenging your belief systems. And in my book, I have a worksheet that will take you on a journey of seeing what beliefs you've actually borrowed from society, what you've heard and you've just adopted. We're like very programmable human beings. I mean, we mimic, we whatever we resonate with that moment, we just take it in as our own. So in that section of the book, it helps you to unravel, questions maybe that you won't ask yourself. And a lot of it is that inner work of just thinking about it, because we don't think about it. We're on autopilot. And then we try and then we fail because we don't go deep enough. We start to go deep. But what I found is if you just realize that those things that have happened to us have already happened to us, but we're bringing them into our present moment. If once we look at it, illuminate it, and feel okay with just what happened.
With the self-hypnosis and just kind of admitting that you kind of have some kind of, stuff going on with you. I think everybody does, right? I don't think that you're a bad person or less of a person because you're dealing with these things that have happened to you. You know what I'm saying? So it's something that everybody has to deal with and come to terms with, right?
Yeah, and the cool thing is once you kind of clear up the disharmony within you, you can navigate your life and go through experiences and not get attached to things. Things can just move through you. You don't have to cling on to stuff. It's when we cling on to things that causes resistance, I guess you could see in the quantum field. But if you could just get to where not that you have to take a bunch of shit from people or anything, but I'm just saying, let's not let things that have happened to us stay in our bodies. And in our emotional field, because that prevents us from experiencing joy and those higher vibrations or higher emotions that we all really want to kind of reside in at most times. But most of us, we can get into depression and doubt and self-esteem issues. And those are dense emotions that keep us in a contracted energetic state. And we didn't have tools. Most of us don't have tools to get ourselves back up, right? And it's not just about thinking happy thoughts. I mean, we got to be real. But it's about being with those emotions, but then moving through them and letting them go. And like I said, that comes with maturity and with awareness and just owning it. That you got to really be, well, I shouldn't say you have to be, but it helps to be it like a bird's eye view of yourself, watching yourself, because our minds want to wander, but we're not our minds. We're here to master our minds. And once we get that kind of, focused in, it's a lot easier just to experience life and be present. Because honestly, I mean, being present with peace in your heart, isn't that the ultimate ideal?
Yeah. The message I got some years ago was heal yourself and then heal the others, or essentially heal the healers. Like I was doing a lot of private consultations and stuff as well. And everybody who was coming to me, for the most part, they wanted to do something similar to what I was doing. Like they all wanted to be healers. They all were empathic, or they had angels that, come to them, and all of these crazy things that were happening to them. And they just wanted to make sense of it all, and really to talk to someone who was, on that same level, that same playing field, and pretty much know how they can step forward in walking in their destiny, but they know they're dealing with, those things or whatever. So like everybody I've had has been very similar experience, maybe like attracts like or something. But have you noticed that too, that a lot of people who come to you, they want to be healers, they want to use their gifts and things like that to heal humanity?
Oh, absolutely. Because, anybody that is coming to me, I just have some kind of small something to offer them on their journey, I kind of screen clients, or I screen people I want to work with, because I genuinely want to work with, not just trying to take people's money. I really want to see their heart come online and open up, and, to feel like they're not the only one, because I sure as hell felt like I was crazy. Like I didn't come out, like to write a book like this was really challenging for me, just because my family, I was worried about what they were going to think, because it's so far out there for so many people. I'm talking about the evolution of human consciousness and, energy, and, people are very religious, and I respect all of that, but I had to really, so I'm thankful for you and people like you who are bringing conscious communication out into the forefront, because we all have this in us. It's been so suppressed. And, people get so excited. They're like, oh, this is my truth. This is my tribe, So, yeah, we're all here to just basically ignite each other and no, I love the saying, know thyself, heal thyself. And when you know yourself, you heal yourself, but then you also know that everybody else is one and the same with us. Like, do you resonate with oneness, the divine law of oneness? So when you go into the perspective of that we're all one and that everybody is reflections for our spiritual growth and amplification, you can really rise up through a lot of crap quick. It's just about keys of remembering, because we already know it. We've just forgot.
Yeah. So, as far as people, wanting to heal themselves, wanting to, you kind of mentioned saying yes to the call or answering the call or whatever. Does that look like being authentic and being okay with coming out? Because you can answer the call within, but until you like fully are okay with it and not be scared, you know what I'm saying? And that's one thing that where like it kind of shifted gears for me, was the fact that, okay, I'm going to embody this. This is what I am. People are talking about me, making fun of me, regardless if I'm in my shell or if I'm just open with my ideas and the experiences that I'm having and the way that I express them. But to like walk in that spirit of authenticity to where you don't really care, you're answering the call, because there's a lot of other people who they have that call too. There's a scripture in the Bible says that, what I'm saying, many are called, but the chosen are few. Many people are called, but not a lot of people are going to answer the call and really step out and embody it, So it just shifted gears for me when I just, quit caring about the opinions of men and what other people thought. And I literally, it was like night and day to where stuff just started opening up and people, getting healed and chains falling off of people through you being open, because it's like you have to kind of play the hypocrite if you don't, because you got to kind of act like you don't believe certain things around certain people, your boss, your mother, you know what I'm saying, your family, your friends, your in-laws. Hey, I seen you on the internet and you're talking about aliens approaching you, right? Okay, what do you mean? How many aliens was it? At the family gathering. Or the boss calls you in the office and says, tell me about these aliens. And they got a doctor.
Or mine, worried about what other people thought. But I'm so glad I pushed through my fear, because that one little 3-minute video or whatever impacted so many people.
Yeah, that's the thing. You don't want to look at it, but human nature. You try to look over, see what you can see. And for me, it ended up biting me on the butt, because I was looking into the other realm and trying to reach my hand in there, see if I can grab something, and something reached back and grabbed me, and it wasn't good, But I've dealt with that as a teenager, like dealing with those demons and the demonic and stuff like that. But now, on this side, everything's good, though.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, do you feel like they attach themselves to you?
They definitely did early on. Mm-hmm. I've been exploring the whole thing, like I was saying, like having that encounter at like 4 years old. There's a lot of people who have had those encounters when they were younger, and that's what I've been exploring a little bit with people, is the fact that it's almost like that realm tried to mark them or to scare them and keep them away from their destiny. Most of them are like people who are obviously it's going to bring about a fascination with the other side, because you encountered it at such a young age, when most people don't even believe that it's real. You've already encountered it at the age of 4, 5, 6, whatever, so it puts this weird feeling within you, what I'm saying, whether you pursue it or not. But I've been talking to people about the fact that they were almost like marked already to do something big, and then that other side, like the negative forces, were like trying to scare them away from doing anything spiritual or getting into anything that seemed outside of the box, if you will, Yeah,
well, they feed on fear.
Mm-hmm.
So they want to create that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry that happened, but I think it also served you while you're, so awake now.
Oh, it definitely did. It's so weird, and I've been trying to, grasp the concept, even from a Christian perspective, of like, we're always talking about casting out demons and casting off negative energies and entities off and out of people, but which demons were sent to serve you. You know, which situations were in your life because you needed to be taught a lesson. There was some character flaws and character defects, or some doors that you opened up yourself, that, you know what I'm saying, that came in. So this idea of which demons do you rebuke and which ones do you learn from, right? Obviously, I think you learn from them all, even if you rebuke them or cast them out of somebody. But I don't think it's always just, hey, come to the healer and we're just going to, you know, say this prayer and they're going to be gone. Now that happens, but I think it really takes the person walking in discernment and say, hey, you got to learn these lessons that are here. You keep doing the same thing over and over, open up the doors to these types of relationships, these types of forces in your life, or whatever the case is, and you just keep doing it over and over. And it's really not good to try to cast them out, especially from like a biblical perspective, without learning how to clean it up. You know, it says it's actually pretty dangerous, because if you cast it out or get rid of them and you don't clean yourself up and close the door, then they're going to come back with stronger entities, you know what I'm saying, that are much nastier than they are. And it says the state of that person is worse off, you know, more later than they were to begin with. And we see that with drug addictions and any type of addiction, really, that, you know, that can end up taking somebody's life in the end, really.
No, absolutely. I think that, you know, it serves us well sometimes. And I know that's hard for like the logical mind to understand, but it serves us well because it allows us to strengthen the light within. And it moves us to have to step into our power and to ignite our, you know, our inner beingness. And I know that you're a Christian, or
pretty much.
Or you just kind of at all. That's another story. I'll just share my version of Jesus, if that's okay. So Jesus, for me as a child, I was born on Easter, so I was always very interested in, you know, this beautiful man. And so Jesus, to me, basically taught me directly. He said, what they seek in me is already within thee. And I don't feel like he is going to save us. I feel like he already gave us the tools to save ourselves. And it's really got to just be the inner work that we do. So like once you've been doing the work, and that's why you're able to cast your demons out because you've expanded the light within and there's no room for them anymore. Yep.
Yeah, but it's changed over the years. Like hindsight's 2020. You're able to look back, and so the demons that you were like trying to rebuke and trying to get rid of, now you're kind of glad that they were there, like you said, because if that stuff wouldn't have happened, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today. You know, if I wouldn't have those experiences or those encounters, you know what I'm saying, to live to tell about them, and I wouldn't change a thing, you know, on this side of it, like having the wisdom of that and having the empathy for people who are going through similar situations or whatever the case is. That's what it gives you, you know, it's a sense of empathy, that you actually care to help people, you know what I'm saying, where they are. And you have the knowledge and the wisdom and the empathy, that the love, you can't do it without that. Most people don't care, you know, that other people are going through stuff. But if you've gone through it, it's something that you identify in others who are dealing with the same type of struggles and things as well.
Well, most people who don't have compassion is because they're really looking through just their ego lens, which ego is great, serves us well, but they don't see how actually connected we are. So it's just a state of where they're at, you know. But yeah, that's pretty interesting. And you probably felt really crazy, like even sharing that with people, probably, right? Did you share it with your family? Were they okay? Like, would they believe you, or?
Well, it took a long time, right? Because you're a little kid, and then it took like, you know, talking about it at like sleepovers and stuff as a teenager. Hey, anybody ever had this happen? And then someone's like, yeah, I had that, or oh, I've seen this, or whatever. Watch the documentary on it, you know, when you're young, and you're like, oh wow, so something's up. Like, I'm not the only one that's had these kind of sleep terrors or sleep paralysis or whatever. And I remember my sister told me several years ago that she was dating a guy, and they would just have one of those deep God talks or whatever. Hey, do you believe this? What if the universe is this? Those kind of talks. And she mentioned to him that I had that encounter as a kid. A demon woke up with demons on me and stuff or whatever. And he started crying. And she's like, why are you crying? He said, because I had the same thing happen to me as well, but I've just been too scared to tell anybody. And this dude's in his mid-30s, and he's never mentioned it at all. He just suppressed it. He thought he was crazy, or thought that he made it up, or some kind of crazy thing. So when, just the power of just being open, right? And just letting people know that they're not alone. That's just in that quick example. The guy, found out that he wasn't crazy, just in the midst of a conversation about it.
No, absolutely. People, I love the saying of, we are the students of life and the teachers of its lessons. So I think it's just great when you can share your truth, and, but we judge ourselves. We've put those, like, I don't want to say it because, people think we're crazy. I totally get that. Yeah.
Trying to figure out how to phrase it, or that's what we've been talking about lately, just coming up with ideas like, hold on, like, how did you get that download? Like, how do you articulate the download? And there's so many ways that we can, right? And a lot of people, I'm not convinced that everybody knows as much as they even pretend to know. Like, yes, I met with the Orion Council of Light, and I met with the Arcturians, or the Palladians woke me out of my sleep and told me this messages and stuff. And I believe and understand downloads, and I get them. But to say, like, exactly these are the beings from this planet or star system or whatever the case is, like, it gets a little squirrely for me even too. From, like, whether you want to say, well, even, just with our terminology of source, God, spirit, the universe, Jesus, God, the Holy Spirit. Which one told you? Jesus told me this, God told me this, and then the Holy Spirit told me this. And they're like, it's really the same life force essence. I feel like it's communicating with us, and you can put whatever you want, your name on it. It gets really squirrely to really, because they sound the same. We've been exploring this idea. Okay, well, what do they sound like? Like, but it all sounds the same. A lot of times it sounds like you. They speak with your own dialect, right, in your own voice, and to say, like, this is what it is. Because I've been stargazing and had telepathic communication. I've been in prayer and had that still small voice. I've been, I've seen UFOs and had that communication as well. But it all sounds the same. It's this inward dialogue that communicates with you and things, and finding the ways to articulate it without sounding too crazy. Like, you can sound as crazy as you want. I can easily, say that I'm talking to aliens, right? I'm looking at UFOs and they're communicating telepathically, or I can say they're angels. I'm communicating with angels. Well, I had these angels appear to me in the night sky, or the angels told me this to say that. So it gets really squirrely on how crazy we want to sound, because all of this stuff is it's interesting, and it does sound crazy to even come out and even admit this stuff. But, like, some people don't want to sound crazy as other people, so that they don't talk about it, right? Unless they're in, like, a private conversation versus being on a podcast or in a song or something like that,
Yeah. I always like to guide people to challenge everything, question everything, because there's always more truth to be unfolded. So I like that you feel that way too as well. Because if we really want to be honest, who really knows anything?
Well, that's the thing about starting your brand or your school or your cult or whatever the case is. Like, you have to act like you know it all. So you have to, like, pinpoint it and say that was the Arcturians, or that was the Orion Council of Light, or that was, simply put, God. God doesn't sound as sexy as some of the other things, so we got to change it up. We got to say it was the angels, which it could have been. Like, it gets really squirrely, and I've had so many encounters and so many crazy mystical experiences with entities and synchronicities and stuff like that, which I believe that's how they speak as well. Either they or it or the gods or whatever, the angels, the archangels, the ascended masters, whatever you want to call them, they speak through everything in life, but trying to articulate it can be squirrely.
Yeah, some things just really are best felt and not said.
That's why, like, in the midst of it all, I love to have these conversations and to just see what have you seen, and kind of hold it up against what I've seen and what I've experienced, and hold it up against my 150 guests I've had on this show, right? And just kind of, you know what I'm saying, see a picture, and see who's telling the truth and at that, and just see what kind of stands at the end of the day. But really at the end of the day, it comes down to practicality. Like how can you make this ascended knowledge practical? Like how can you help someone who's struggling with addiction? How can you help someone who, because a lot of these people can't. A lot of these people don't have even the desire to, and there's that empathy or whatever. They don't even have that. Like they're just doing it to, whether it's to sell books or to kind of go on Gaia TV and sell lectures on this stuff that they can make it up as they go, versus having something tangible. Like, look, these practices work. And that's one thing which kind of I wanted to have you on here, because of your book. You have it all mapped out where it's really tangible. It's not just some crazy out there ideas. It's stuff that literally works for people.
Yeah, that's what I really tried to do, is to, and there's a lot of like worksheets. So it helps you, like I said, know thyself. You got to get to know yourself, and then you can heal yourself. And like, I don't like to preach any one thing. I like people to step into their own creative potential, their own creative mind, whatever. What are your beliefs? This is what I have to offer, but what resonates with you? And I also like to remind people that we know the truth by the way we feel,
Mm-hmm.
And another thing I really like to guide people into is getting into the inner body sensations, learning how to feel our emotions, how to feel things, because that's like the best navigation system we have is our emotions, and they're incredibly powerful communicators. So I think emotions, like human beings, if we need to learn anything, it's how to manage our emotions and how to be with them without pushing them away or just clinging on or projecting garbage onto other people. I think that's like really a powerful way to start, is learning how to feel, because we numb ourselves, we drink, we smoke, we whatever, But then when you actually can be kind of clear and comfortable in feeling, I mean, it's pretty amazing. We're in these human bodies. We have these sensations. We have, you know what I mean? We just don't tune in. We're always so obsessed on the outside. But there's a lot of magic that is within us all.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things, because a lot of these, we've been talking about this a lot lately too, but a lot of these groups, whether it's Christianity, sects I've come out of and stuff, and then maybe even some of the Gnostic or like hyper spiritual groups that kind of deny those feelings, right, or those impulses, or even just like the sides of like your humanity, that you do like to have fun, and you like to go play golf with your family and go see a movie and go have a good meal or whatever the case is. And so those don't seem as spiritual as meditating and astral traveling and communicating with the angels or whatever the case is. And so like a lot of people will kind of push off just to like the very essence of the humanity. But I think, that's spiritual too, right? Everything that we do, it's not just because if that's all they see, that's all they're going to expect. And it gets really weird. Because I've had people, look at me like that, and they get they see me doing human things or making people laugh or telling jokes, and they're just like appalled or something that I'm a human, because they think that I'm some like super duper advanced spiritual guru or whatever the case is. But at the same time, I think I am, right? It's both of those, both sides exist, and they both work together. It's not just all one or all the other.
Yeah, and we have to remember, I mean, we're animals too. We have a carnal side to us. And that's another thing that, what I feel like we're all ascending. I mean, when I say ascension, it's what I feel ascension is integrating our higher self into our lower self, and thus bringing more of our spiritual energy into our physical body. So ascension, sometimes people think you're going to fly off the planet or something. That's not how it is for me. It's just really raising your light and bringing them together.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is off subject, and I usually don't talk about religion, but so, like in the church where they had the priests, they needed to abstain from sex, right?
Mm-hmm.
That right there puts a resistance on their natural state of being. And there's, you could say, well, they did that so the money would go back into the church when people died. There was no family. But so what you did was you wrapped somebody that is designed to experience and express sexuality, and you put them in constraints, and then look how it leaked itself out. Mm-hmm. If you know it. So that's just one way to look at it. So when we suppress, we have to be real. We have these real thoughts. I have dark thoughts. I look at them, they go by. They just float through. When we attach to them, that it becomes our reality, and then we start bringing in and materializing in our relationships. That's the whole thing I really am passionate about, is teaching people the power of our thoughts. Yeah. And that we are animals, and it's amazing that we have these bodies, but we are sexual beings. We do have darkness. We do have light. It's really just about bringing it into balance. And anytime we put a restriction or a resistance, we create a magnetic field that just attracts more resistance. Yep. So it's like, just let's get into the free flow. Yeah. It works both ways, because like we're talking about having that empathy towards people. You have the empathy because you've been through something, and now you want to help people, right? So you're looking for people, like you resonate with people who have been in abusive relationships. You resonate with people who have been on drug addiction or pill addiction or whatever the case is. Like, you seek out those people because you know how to get them out of it. You know how to share your story, what worked for you. So you're empathetic towards those people. You start looking for them. And then on the opposite side, the opposite spectrum of, like, the preacher side, or the Catholic priest side of what you're suppressing or you're acting like you're against, secretly because you're struggling with it, or you're like dealing with it. And so a lot of those preachers who are against homosexuality, just where they're just always vocal, gays, we got to get the gays, all this stuff, and they're just always like that. They're the ones who are caught and having gay prostitutes with them. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, exactly. And like when you hear like Black Lives Matter, Cops Lives Matter, all that is doing is creating and fueling separation. Mm-hmm. Like, that irritate. I don't watch the news, but that's why, because it's just makes me irate. When you do that, it's like a beacon of more of that emotion. And, but yeah, it's exactly what you were just saying. It's just like, what you're against and what you're vocal about is usually, you're amplifying it. You're amplifying it. It's usually what you're hiding within, and you got to act like, I don't like gays. Is really you're really, inside. You have a, you might be gay. You don't know it, and you've dealt with exactly. And it's the same way for those people like who like, I'm real big on. I mean, we talked about it today about being authentic and the power and the deliverance that comes with being authentic, and I'm passionate about that because I went through it and it works for me. So I'm genuinely going to try to reach out to people and try to help them and guide them and let them know what happens when you become authentic and you quit caring about the opinions of those around you. When it comes to walking out your destiny, everybody's destiny is different. Like, some people are content where they are. They don't want to go deeper. They don't want to take that step of faith or that leap of faith into their new job or their new career full time, doing what they love to do. They're okay changing tires. They're okay changing oil or working at the factory or whatever. Everybody doesn't have that zeal within them to be free. Some people have given up on it. I think that if you have given up on it, you can always go back and recapture it. But everybody doesn't have that same drive that you have to kind of go out there and be almost like that superhero. You feel like your story is supposed to matter, and leave a legacy of helping as many people as you can and have fun while you're doing it. Like, I think that's what it's about, really. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's true. I'm actually going to be going on and see, for me, I had a lot of resistance taking money. Like, I'll be very honest. Like, it was very easy for me to have a business, a product line I developed that has nothing to do with spirituality. Yeah. Okay. I'm still sharing on social media like I do, and I'm doing this business. Okay. And then when it comes to doing service with people, I had a resistance. Like, I just want to help people, but I had to stop that because energy is energy. Yep. And so basically the universe, flushed away all of my we were in a flood, a natural disaster in 2016. We had like a river come through our house basically. So that was a huge ordeal, but it took away, I was already writing the book too. So it was like, okay, stop working on this and get on your path, if that makes any sense. But I think what I really wanted to talk about was manifestation quick. Because, that's huge in the community. It's all about manifesting this. I want the big house, the big car. I personally try to invite people to think about what they're really wanting to manifest, because we know the stories of people who've manifested, a mansion or a car or whatever. And at the end of the day, they're lonely and empty in this big house with a fancy car. So I really try to inspire people when they're doing their manifestation and they're trying to get clear of what they want to experience in our life, to think about, focus on spiritual prosperity. Like, what do you really want? Do you really want a big house? Do you have to keep clean? Do you have to pay all these taxes and bills and stuff? Or do you want a more simple life? What do you really want? Because we've been programmed, like through rap videos. I know you know all about that. Get the car, get the girls, and it really isn't satisfying. It does nothing for you. It's like you just experience, and that it's not real wealth. Yeah. So, enriching and focusing on what really matters, I think, because people, The Secret was an amazing thing that came out, but it's missing a lot of the mechanisms, like the other laws that go with the law of attraction that really bring manifestation into play. So I feel like when we're a manifester, if we want to focus on what makes you feel good when you go to sleep, you have peace in your heart. Like you go to sleep and there is not a care in the world, right? Isn't that like the best feeling? People are stressed out all the time. Like I
remember, I remember almost like in school when I got in trouble, or like when I was working at my job, like it was just weird. And I put up with this for years, my whole adult life almost, where you don't want the weekend to end. Friday, you're having fun. Saturday, you think about it. Tomorrow's Sunday. Sunday, you wake up, man, got to go to work tomorrow. Oh, my God, I got to go to work. And there's this weird hypertension there, and you're scared. You're like, man, I wish I didn't have to, but I got to go. And then so you go, the next day comes, Monday morning comes, and you clock in, you go to work. But it's just fear of Monday morning. You know what I'm saying? And you couldn't go to bed just at bliss. Okay. You didn't, as the sun's going down, you're like, dang, I got to go out to work. You know what I'm saying? I used to feel that way about school. And then for work, my entire adult life, this weird fear. And and there's a lot of people who feel that.
Oh, absolutely.
And so if you want that to go away, like that can go away, like that feeling can go away, like whether it's just to be content at your job and be there and kind of work it until you open something else up, you definitely have to do that. But as far as simplifying your life, like I have a lot of people who look at what I'm doing, or the whole full-time thing is always something that's really, everybody wants to do what they love full time, and I think everybody should, and everybody deserves to, if they work the steps, and if they build it, if they try it, everybody can do it. But you have to simplify. You might not be able to live in, like you're saying, the big old house and the big mansion, and you might not be able to go eat out 4 times a week. You might not be able to get your hair done every month or every 2 weeks, or get your nails done. There's things that you have to kind of do without and simplify to get your bills down low, to say, look, we can survive and still be good if we did this. And that's a process, because people get into so much debt. Just the way the society's set up is to get you in debt and keep you in debt. So many people have to work against that. And it's even that idea is like, I'll never be able to, because I'm $40,000 in debt, $60,000, $100,000, whatever in debt. So I'll never be able to do that. But there's still ways to simplify and get your bills down low, and get a smaller house, get a mobile home, whatever it is. What's worth more? That feeling of being scared, like, man, I don't want to go to work, man. I do not want to go. I wish this can last forever. Is that worth the big house, getting having a bigger bed, having an extra bedroom, a nicer house? Or is simplifying, living more meek and more humble, but getting to wake up and do whatever it is that your heart desires to actually make a paycheck or make a living doing. The money's probably going to be a lot less starting out until you can get on your feet and do your business and your branding and stuff like that. But for me, there's really no price on that. There's no price. Like, what do I have to give up to do that, right? And I did it, and I'm doing it, and it didn't come easy. It doesn't come easy. It is a step of faith, a leap of faith, because you're told this, and then there's that fear as well. You got the parents and you got the in-laws and everybody. Oh, you're doing what? You're quitting your job to do music? Really? Well, there's another job over here they're hiring. It's like, no, this is my job. Like, I'm doing this and I'm sustaining myself, you know what I'm saying? And that whole journey. But I believe that if people want it, they can do it. You can do whatever the hell you want to do, and they should do it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And and not everybody can just, drop their jobs, but it's like you said, take baby steps towards moving in that direction. Don't watch TV one night and go in there. It's all about building momentum. Write a book and finish a book was like, and I did it through a flood. It was all about just small intentional steps pushing it forward. Because it can be overwhelming when you say, oh, I want to quit my job and go here. People don't know how to get from one point to the next point. It starts in little baby steps, phone calls, emails, calling people.
Logos, yeah.
Yes. I mean, just moving the energy forward, and then you'll be surprised how much it'll manifest for you. But yeah, we acquired like $200,000 in debt because of the flood. We didn't have insurance. But it was really kind of magical because it wasn't at the time, but I was writing this book and I was able to practice everything I wrote. It was like I was being called for. Like, girl, you're going to walk what you're talking here. So, and things worked out beautifully. I mean, and we were in a camper with 4 people and a cat that was dying and dogs. And so, I mean, I've been where I didn't have anything before, and then we got back to it pretty quick. So, but yeah.
Well, then, I mean, therefore, it kind of produces in you, whether it's from that or from having humble beginnings, but it produces in you a gratitude for everything. Like, I have, that's it. Totally, that's a superpower. Yeah, it really is. When you the key. That's the key to everything, though. It is approaching it with that attitude. Agree. No, that's like if you can get that moving in your body, that energy, and you can raise your frequency, not to sound sciencey, but you feel that in your body and you admit it. Because I did have a moment, I was cooking out of a crock pot and I had to wash the pot. I was in a camper. Our house is flooded. It's a construction zone. And I cooked something in a crock pot and I was out. It was hotter than hell. It was like 110 in Louisiana. And I'm cleaning this pot out with a garden hose, and I didn't have a scrubber because everything's just gone in the garbage. It's just disaster. And I'm like, this really sucks. And then I was like, wait a minute. I caught myself. This comes from awareness. Yeah. I said, I have electricity to run this crock pot. I had food to put in the crock pot. My kids are still safe. So you lift yourself out. Yeah. And it just changes everything. So yeah. Gratitude is awesome. It's not just a cliche. It's just not one of those, like, just be grateful. It's awesome. It's really powerful. Even with that overwhelming feeling about, having to go back to work, between Sunday and Monday, that transition, this is like sucks the life out of you. There's a way out of that too. You have to have that game plan, but you have to kind of approach that with gratitude as well, because like I got convicted because I was feeling that way, or I would be on the job and what am I doing here? I'm not supposed to be here. I got a destiny I'm supposed to live up to, and I'm here, doing this or doing that or whatever the case is for 40, 50 hours a week, and I don't get sleep, and there's no way I can do what I want to do and stuff. So you get overwhelmed, but I got convicted. I was like, man, this is something I asked God for this. Like this job is an answered prayer. Like I remember where I was doing a much worse job, nastier jobs, a lot harder physical manual labor, and I prayed to God for this job. Please give me this job. Hope it goes through. I went to the interview. So this job is an answered prayer, and now I'm complaining about an answer, something I prayed to God and asked God for. That's awesome, right? So that kind of changes your perspective. It's like, look, man, this job is a blessing. There's people who would even kill for this job, and then kind of go back and look at the other jobs that I've worked that were bad jobs. They were jobs, but You know what I'm saying? It's all part of that alchemy, though, going from one level to the next until you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. I think that every place that we're in, whether we're in those dead end jobs or that stress is there, you're supposed to feel that. You're a person. You got to know what that feels like. You got to learn from that stuff. I don't think that any of us, even if we get off the path for months, weeks, or years at a time, it's all used, man. It's all used in our story, and it's all used in our alchemy somehow. Like somehow, I think that we're all right where we're supposed to be at that moment. And wherever that desperation comes in, that you want to get serious about your life and about your dreams and what you want to bring to the table, and your dreams are too big and there's no way you can do it, there's little ways that you chip away at a time. Most of my music, I got 200 songs under my belt. I probably wrote 170 of them on the job, like working. You know what I'm saying? Right. So there's something you can do. You know what I'm saying? There's something you can do, whether it's send that email out, pull out your text to speech on your phone, and you know what I'm saying, write your book while you're driving to work. I used to do that. I'd be driving to work, but that hunger in me, I don't want to go to work. I want to turn around, but I'll pull out that phone and say, let me just start writing. Let me just start creating something, bringing it to the table.
You got to fuel your passion. You got to put energy towards it, or it's never going to take off. So that's great advice. For sure.
Yeah, it's super spiritual stuff. Then, like I said, it comes back down to being real practical. Like, what are the angels telling you? They're telling you what? The secrets of math and science and how to build spaceships and like what is all that stuff if it's not going to help somebody in their day to day, fulfill their dreams, like walk in their destiny, and all of this stuff. And I really do think that it is deep. It is crazy deep stuff, right? But we're supposed to take it and make it practical for the lay people because, it sounds sexy and it sounds very intriguing. I do a good job making it sound that way in my music, right? Traveling the ethers, communicating with ETs and summoning UFOs. Like, it's really cool. But it makes people want to do it, but we have to come to terms. Even if they want to do it, that's one thing. But then they don't have to do it. Like, you don't have to fast for 3 weeks and then have an angelic being approach you and then tell you this, and then it changes your life and it's a message. You don't have to do that because we've done it. Like, we've been through the trauma. You don't have to be in the abusive relationship. Like, you don't have to go down that road to learn. You can learn from the people who have already done it, the people who have had the experiences. And we can make it practical. We can tell you, look, you're in a toxic relationship. Get out of it. Stop meeting those people at the same place. You keep meeting these people at the bar rooms, and then you don't know why they're alcoholics and they want to party and all this stuff, and you want to settle down. Like, all of this stuff comes into play. It turns into something that's real practical at the end of the day. I mean...
Yeah, I totally, because there's billions of people on the planet and a small percentage of them are talking about the spaceships and, there's people dealing with just regular everyday human stuff.
Yeah.
And the whole thing of not wanting to be human is really sad because I'm sure you hear that, right? Sometimes in the community.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't want to be, well, it's such a blessing and such a gift that you've been given. And I really feel that we chose this also on some level. That we don't have to just evolve into something else. That's like a false illusion almost. Like, where are we trying to go other than right here, right now? Because it's really all there is. I think we get in this trap of trying to arrive somewhere when there's no place to arrive except to be fully present in the moment. Whether that's at the job you're at or you're in the moment moving towards what you want to experience in the next moment, it's moment by moment by moment by moment. Because we all get this, and we visualize and we do this, but it all happens right now. And I think the baby steps help people kind of click it into gear that moment by moment, it's choice. And choice is the most powerful thing we have. And we have to exercise it.
Yep. That's what it's about. Just making those choices, making the right choices day by day.
And if you have a bad moment and you think negatively, oh, well, you're in a new moment right now. What are you going to do with it?
People want to be like, I think it's part of understanding, just like free will, of understanding that some people would rather be the robot. Like, they would rather, Like people struggle with what we can call sin or, addictions or whatever the case is that are not good, right? They want to overcome them. They need help. So they're just asking, pleading for help. Part of that help is showing resistance, showing self-control, maybe starving it out, right? When it comes to like worshiping God or worshiping the creator of with that essence, it's the fact that you have a choice. It's a choice to do that. You're not a robot. You don't have to do that. Like you have a choice whether you can give in to your addiction, and that's gonna birth an outcome. If you keep doing it over and over and over and over, it's gonna birth an outcome. Or if you deny it, you say, you know what, I want to do that. Acknowledge it. I love to do that. Like people who are on drugs, they love that feeling of that instant high. Smoking crack, meth addiction. Eventually you learn to hate it, but you love the high. They're chasing the high, but you have to give up a piece of yourself to get that quick fix. You can easily get the quick fix, or you can say, you know what, and I'll do it as in worshiping God for me. That's just what works for me, and say, you know what, I want to sow towards my destiny. That's not going to get me where I'm supposed to be. Whatever that addiction is, whatever it is, it's not going to get me where I need to be. I know I have to give that up to get to where I'm going, because I can't bring that with me. You can't bring it with you. You can't bring the crack addiction to your Fortune 500 company. It's not going to happen. You can't bring the meth. It won't happen. So it's those choices each day. I can do that and get the instant gratification, be okay because you love to do it. There's things that we love to do. It's an instant gratification to the fleshly desires, but it's like, you know what? And I tell God to say, I love God more. Like I love my family more. I love my mind more. That I could be a robot and just easily, that's out of my system. I don't even care about it. There's no devotion in that to like the higher, you know what I'm saying, intelligences and God. Like you're not a robot. It is the free will. It is the choice. And at the end of the day, you got to make those right choices.
Well, I agree, but I also look at, we're programmed as children. I don't like to use the word program, but it's really what happened, So fear leads our lives a lot of times, and we don't realize we have this choice, this free will choice, this infinite potential to tap into. We don't even have awareness of this quantum field of energy that is dancing around us constantly. We don't know how to navigate into the real realm, if you really want to look at it like that. We're taught to think small, or, like my kids are in public school, but when they come home, I keep them open and I do my side of things at home. But, you're taught that you're going to get a job, work the rest of your life. We're not supporting our children in growing and tapping into creative things. You know what I'm saying? Like, imagine if there was something for you that you are really talented as an artist. So let's get him in a career path on that. Yeah. They keep you in like the basic job systems. The fear comes in of thinking outside of the box, because as children, we were free thinkers, and then that changes through that. We can't blame it all on the schools, but it's a large part of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they don't reward that, but there are schools, and it's cool when you can find those schools, man, that actually cater to, what the strengths are and those kids and what they're interested in. Like before we went live, you're talking about your son, loves gaming and live streaming video games and stuff, and like now we're in a place where you can make a living doing that. Now you can make a great living. Like there's 14-year-olds making millions of dollars a year.
Yeah, he's already generating some, and I resisted that because I was like, I don't like having all these people energetically exchanging with my son, but he's 16 now and he still wants to go to college, and so I'm going to support him on that, but he's going to do computer tech stuff as well. So yeah, exactly. I mean, we can do really what we want, especially now in this time and age. That's really awesome that you're doing what you're doing. I didn't realize that you were doing this full time.
I'm about a year in. I got let go from my job August of last year, and then I went 6 months on workman's comp, which was just pennies, drawing your pennies. So after that was like the test. Are you going to sink or swim? Like, you're going to find another job, or you're going to stick at it? And so I do my podcast and do my music, and I do graphic art and things like that on the side as well. for people and build websites. I do music. And so, that was like, the push from the creators, like, look, here you go, try it, and so, my wife was on board with it because she knew how, like, I was just getting super duper depressed, what I'm saying? Feeling like I was, made for like, greatness or whatever, doing great things. But then in the end, feeling that, because not everybody feels that way about Monday morning. There's a lot of people who get up and go to work. That's not the default for everybody. Like, you can turn that off. Like, there's people who get up on Monday mornings and they love their job. They can't wait to go see their patients or whatever they do. They serve. There's people who love bagging groceries, man. And when you meet those people who are authentic and they love what they're doing, I don't care what they're doing. I've talked about that. I got tattoo artists they love to go to work and draw on people. Like, they get a kick out of doing that. But if you meet there's people who are working at McDonald's who love it. They're just smiling, joking, laughing.
It takes all kinds of kinds, and we need to, hold on, sorry, I'm just, we need all kinds of kinds. It takes, everybody to make the world go round. So as long as we feel good about ourselves and we're enjoying our life, I mean, who cares what you do?
Yeah. So that's what I'm talking about. Fight that feeling, man. And if that's you, you're a perfect candidate. Like, if you have that, Saturday, Sunday, like, oh man, I got to go back to work. I had that for 20 something years. No matter what job I was doing, it's like, oh, I got to go. I didn't like, all the jobs. I hated my jobs. I was not supposed to, that's not what I wanted to do with my life. And then it gets depressing. You can really fall in that depression. Like, man, I wanted to be a rapper. Man, I wanted to be this. Or I wanted to be that. But now I'm cleaning toilets. I'm a janitor. You know what I'm saying? Like, what am I doing? You're standing there with a scrub brush in your hand, cleaning toilets, like, literally. And that could be that you can get depressed really easy, but you have to pull yourself out of it. I say take that negative energy, and that's where the power is. When you feel that stuff coming in your chest, you know that you're a perfect candidate. I got to do something about this, man.
Yeah.
I do not want to feel like
that
this.
Energy in a different direction, totally.
And it's
that also means being in tune to those feelings, and you obviously have that. Most people walk around totally not feeling anything.
Well, I think I think a lot of people are in tune with them, but they think it's default. Like, there's no way they can change it. Like, they have kids now, and then they got a mortgage and they got a car note. Like, there's no way that I can do this, and even like, the system is against me. All odds are against me, which really they are. But there's other odds too that are forever in your favor, that have plans to prosper you and bless you and have your, future in mind, and get with those plans, right? You know what I'm saying? There's scriptures even in the Bible, man, all throughout the Bible, where like God just promising you a great future, and you're going to enjoy life and live it to the fullest, and nothing's going to stop you, and nothing and nobody can hold you back to fulfilling your destiny. And like, those are the things that have helped me, you know what I'm saying? Because you believe it, you read it, but when you have to apply it, you have to apply that stuff.
And to grab onto it. Yeah.
You just know that it exists, but once you grab it and you become the manifestation of those scriptures or of those lectures or whatever the case, whatever you've been listening to, and it starts working. And it does, and all of it's practical, and it seems so far out of reach. And people would even say, "Oh, well, you got this, and you got supporters and stuff like that help you." Like, that stuff didn't come overnight.
You had to build that.
Build it. It didn't come overnight. And I've been talking about this a lot lately. I know I sound like a broken record, but it's just good to discuss. I've always felt this thing where like that people deserve to have their dreams manifested. Like, everybody deserves it, right? And I felt that way. Like, God loves you, and that you embrace the love of God, and you can, walk in your dreams, and you deserve to do whatever you want to do. If you want to be a musician, if you want to be a painter, if you want to start your own business, you deserve it. But it took me, reading this book by Manly P. Hall about black and white magic. At the end, is talking about, man, God doesn't care if you're happy or sad. Like, those laws just exist. Those universal principles, they exist, and you deserve what you work for. You don't deserve to have something handed to you that you didn't work for. It goes back to what we've been talking about. You're not going to be grateful for it. you're not going to be grateful for it because it was just handed to you. You're not going to care about it. But this now, I protect it. I'll fight for it. I'll fight you for it. You know what I'm saying? And I paid for this, man. You know what I'm saying? And everybody, there's a piece of you in it. Like nobody has seen like those hours of studying and research and sweat and tears. Literally, that's a notion. Sweat and tears, like literally crying over your dream, sweating for your dream. Blood, sweat, and tears. Literally, is like the magical ingredients to make it happen. Have you cried over your dream?
Yeah, I have.
Cry with people? Do you cry with broken people? Yes. Come on, man. It's blood. It really is blood, sweat, and tears to make this stuff happen.
No, absolutely. And one thing I think that's also really important that I like to remind people is that like self-love has to be there. If you don't believe in yourself, you're not going to be able to move into those directions. It just will not ever happen. So learning to love yourself unconditionally, and that might sound cheesy and cliche, but that's where it all starts. You got to fill that well up first, then it will just come out, and then you know what I'm saying by that? Like if you don't believe in yourself, the universe is going to reinforce that.
You can know how valuable you are too. Like I know that I have something amazing to bring to the table, and I do it pretty good. But there's this, you can get caught up of wanting somebody, what we call, to put you on, right? Even with me, like there's other podcasters who do stuff similar to what I do, and they have a bigger reach and they have a network, and it's like, man, can I join a network? And you're waiting to join a network. You're waiting to get put on. You're waiting to get retweeted. You're waiting for a record deal. And that stuff might never come. You may never get added to the network. You may never get a record deal. You always want that one person to hear you, or that one person to partner with you. It may never happen. Like you have to build it for yourself if you want it bad enough. And so just sitting there knowing you have something to offer, be like, if they knew, and that's how you feel, like if they only knew what I can bring to the table, man, I would be a great asset to their company, to their business, to that podcast, to this. I would, even like as a guest on this show, people are watching, and so many people want to come on. I wish I can come on the podcast and talk to you. Well, I'm never going to know unless you email me, right? You actually have to do something to like manifest it, right? Practical stuff. Like it starts here in the ethers, in the mind. Man, that would be awesome if I was on his show, and then it would bring awareness to my brand. It would bring awareness to my music or to my book, and man, I could do that. But you got to pull it out the ethers and practically do something. Practically get on your Facebook or your email and send me a message. Like practically, you make it happen.
Yeah. Put energy behind it. You just got to do that. Otherwise, you're going to sit there and say the same thing for 5 years.
Yeah, it's something about having those good ideas because they just exist. Nobody knows about them. You daydream about them. You fantasize about them. And sometimes it almost seems like God's taunting you over them because they're just great ideas, but they don't exist in the physical. They're just in here. And there's so many of them. And the true alchemy, what I call the true shamanism, is to really go into the ethers and be able to bring it out. Be able to go into the dream state and pull it out and manifest it into your reality. And you can do that. But it takes the dream state. It takes spirituality, manifestation. All of those things are beautiful. And I really do think it starts with a lot of that. But then it comes to, okay, when I wake up, what do I do? How do I...
Yeah, choice and action.
And that's what your book teaches, right? You bring it back down to, is that a good way to put it? That it talks about going into the ethers, or seeing yourself healed, or seeing yourself
embodying as if it already is yours. I mean, I say it in a lot of different ways, but I really focus on the feeling the spiritual prosperity first, because oftentimes you're chasing something that's just going to pull you further off your path, but there's lessons along all parts of that journey. But yeah.
There's a scripture, and it's pretty cool. It's John, 3 John chapter 1 verse 2. It says, "Dear friend, I pray that you may enjoy good health and that all may. Let me read a different version. King James version. It says, "Beloved, I wish above all things that you mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prosper." So I think that's a good analogy as far as that the outside look like the inside. That it starts with the inside, prosper in your soul, and then it's gonna start transforming the outside. I had a friend of mine, he was pushing 400 pounds, and it was on a psilocybin encounter that we both walked by the mirror. We was walking outside, and we stopped and we looked in the mirror, and I said, "What do you see, man?" He's 400 pounds. He's like, I see a somebody who's obese. I need to lose weight, and I don't like the way I look. And it's like, well, what do you see on the inside? And he's like, I see someone who's, genuine, who cares and things like that. And so, like, let's focus on getting the outside to look like the inside. Really good person. Because on the other side, you see people all around you who it's the opposite. On the outside, they're made up. They're stunning. They're the most beautiful person you've ever seen. Got the right makeup. Body's great, whatever. But on the inside, they're dying. They're dead. They're what the Bible calls. It calls them dead sepulchers, like a whitewashed tomb. You're like a grave, like a tomb. There's nothing on the inside, nothing of substance there, but on the outside, it looks great. You know what I'm saying? So to really be able to embody what's on the inside and manifest it on the outside is what it's about. Because I know you want it. I know you think about it. I know you dream about it. You dream about it so much it drives you mad, right?
Can I read something real quick? Yes. I chose to close my book with this quote. That which you have will save you if you bring it forth from yourselves. That which you do not have within you will kill you if you do not have it within you. And that's the Gospel of Thomas. Mm-hmm. And if you let that resonate, is exactly what you're just saying.
Mm-hmm. That was, I think it was on that same psilocybin encounter that we went. It was the fact that I went and seen a healer. We went and seen someone who did Reiki healing and did guided meditation. And then we went to a float tank and then had psilocybin or whatever. It was just a men's retreat, and it was amazing. And I had this real deep desire within me after the meeting with the lady, the energy healer. I was like, I want to be a healer. I was just overwhelmed and consumed with it within. I want to be a healer. I want to be a healer. Mm-hmm. Then I'm having this inward dialogue with God. It's like, no, you don't want to be nothing. You already are. You already are a healer. If you keep wanting to be something, you're always going to keep chasing that. You want to be it because it's already within you. We just have to focus on bringing it out, creating it. Yes. And it's already there. You don't have to, that's the kingdom of heaven is within. You don't have to look for anything outside of yourself. You don't have to buy anything that they're selling you. Everything is within for you to go within and experience and encounter the depths of God, the depths of the spirits, and the depth of who you are, and to really embody that. And so when I understood that, it was like, man, I don't need anything outside of myself. And then begin to show me different ways about how I heal people through, whether it's being empathic and being a man of prayer and putting healing modalities in my music and all of these types of things. Like, you already are this and you're already manifesting it. If you want to do this, I begin to give steps, like going within, getting the steps. And I pulled out I started writing stuff down. That was 4 years ago now, I think it was. I've still got the piece of paper folded up on my wallet of the steps that I was given to make that happen. And you're not becoming, you already are. It's the fact of just bringing it out of you.
No, absolutely.
So I guess it'd be a good place to end. I really enjoyed it. Go ahead and tell people where they could check out your book and check out your latest work.
Well, thank you. I really enjoyed our conversation too. The best place I would get it is on Amazon because the hardcover is now the same price as the paperback, and I really and just look up Aligning Divine, and if you're gonna order it, I would do the hardcover, and also it's on ebook or Kindle too.
Awesome. Make sure you guys check that out. I'll put a link to purchase that in the description as well for you guys. And make sure y'all check that out, support her work. And did you give your website?
www.chantellerene.org.
That easy. ChantelleRene.org. Chantelle, I appreciate you coming on, hanging out with me today. It's been a blast. Thank you so much. We'll have to do it again soon.
Yes, thank you. It was a pleasure.
All right. You have a good one.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Chantelle Rene, ladies and gentlemen. Really enjoyed this episode. A lot of technical difficulties. I'm sitting here looking at my internet the whole time, and man, the upload speeds, it's going in and out. So I'm sorry for the technical difficulties. Hopefully, once I seen that happening, I ended up recording this on the cloud. So my download was great, 150 to 180 download. That's really fast, but download means nothing when you're uploading, broadcasting. You need to have at least 8 to broadcast HD, and I had anywhere from 4 to 0, and it would drop out. So sorry about those inconsistencies. Hopefully we'll be able to get that fixed here soon, because I got some really cool interviews coming up. So I did record this. Hopefully I can piece together all the audio and make it sound good, and you guys can watch it again later. So I didn't have any blips or any mess ups from her end. So if you're listening and it was in and out, I recorded it. I also recorded the last interview that I did, that kind of the same thing happened. So I need to get to the bottom of that, see what's going on with these people. So with that, man, I enjoyed this interview. I hope I don't sound, I think I will though. Like I'll say, I hope I don't sound redundant. I hope I'm not too repetitive. Like, I know I say the same things a lot. I say the same things a lot in my music. You begin to repeat yourself over and over. The message hasn't changed. Like, it's still the same message from day one. So there's nothing, I don't know, like, I have so much within me that I'm trying to articulate and get out. I would be a spoiled brat to keep wanting more. I'm still receiving more, but I'm not like, I'm trying to be a good steward with what I've been given, put it that way. So I'm trying to find neat ways and interesting ways to get that information out to the masses, whether it's through different ways of saying the same thing. That's all you get in my music. You know what I'm saying? There's only a handful of things, and at the end, there's only one essence of it at the end of the day. But I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm the creator and I'm the one who knows where this stuff comes from and how it's put together. But it is what it is. I don't know if there's any new. Everybody's looking for the new revelations. What are the aliens saying? What is God saying? What is this saying? What's up? What's happening? Everybody wants something new when y'all haven't even done the work with the old stuff yet. You know what I'm saying? I want a new word from God. I need a new word. I need a fresh outpouring. You already had an outpouring. You didn't do nothing with that one. What you gonna do with this outpouring? Nothing? Yeah. So be faithful with the few. He'll make you ruler over more. You want more, be faithful with what he's already given you. That's truth on everything. Like, TruthSeekah, how can you be faithful with your own podcast and your own business and paying taxes and all this crazy stuff? How can you be faithful with that when you can't be faithful to get up and clock in and go to work and not complain? You're going, but you're complaining the whole time. You're complaining the whole time. Yeah, but I do it. You don't do it complaining. The Bible says to do all of your work as you're doing it unto the Lord. Isn't the Lord the one who opened up the doors and you're there to begin with? Does he let you do things that he doesn't know about? Is he not there watching? Does he not oversee it? Like, is there something that you can do to hide from him? Adam tried that. Didn't really work that well. He was able to see him. Put clothes. He was naked. Put clothes on. I was like, man, what are you doing? I'm naked, man. I'm trying to cover up. I'm trying to hide your sin. That's the sin, is trying to hide it. I don't necessarily think that it was the fact that he ate the apple with Eve and all that stuff. Like, I don't think that's necessary. I think the fact that he tried to cover it up and hide it. Like, there's grace for you. There's healing. There's repentance. There's all that for you. But the sin is when you get crazy, you start trying to hide it up. Premeditate it. You have to go kill the animals and take the skins and all, and you had to make that stuff when you easily could just walk in forgiveness, walk in love, and confess your sin. Look, I screwed up, God. I'm sorry. Do you still love me? Yeah, I love you, man. I made you. I knew you was going to do it, right? Like, God is appalled. Adam, why did you do such a thing? It's like, look, man, I put that within you. You're going to go after those things, but you're not going to stay with them. I knew you was going to go after those things. Look, I already knew. It ain't nothing new. Look, I put it within you because why? You just like me. Made in my image. He said, I would have did it too. Right? That's the creator, man. But the sin is when you're trying to hide it. You're trying to cover it up. The sin is the premeditation. The sin is the second look. We talk about this a lot. The sin is the second look. The sin is not like you driving in your car and you look at a woman and you just you notice her voluptuous body and you immediately, wow, she's really beautiful. That's a beautiful woman. Like, it enters your mind. The sin is if you keep entertaining it. Like if you keep dwelling, or you keep trying to take a peek, or you keep looking back over your shoulder. And a lot of times you have to consciously make yourself not look. I mean, it's just the thing, man. It's so crazy. It's like, it's a mechanism in the way that we're built. You want to look at that thing that's kind of odd, the thing that's off on somebody, right? There's this lady at the sushi restaurant, and she's got her boobs pushed up real big and spandex and she's busting out of all of her clothes on purpose, right? And you can't help but notice her. She's a good looking woman. And they're in your face, right? And there's these women, you have to like consciously tell yourself not to look at their boobs because they pushed up in your face and you're trying to make eye contact. Hi, I would like to get the Bama roll, please. Making direct eye contact, but it's something in you, not even the lustful thing, right? Not even that you're like, oh my God, they're just so, not even that thing, but the thing that's like, this is weird. And you just want to look at it. Trust me, it's the same way. I have friends with jacked up teeth. And they have brown. One tooth is brown. One tooth is yellow. The next one's brown and black. And when I'm talking to them, it's this weird telepathic thing where they know that I'm looking at their teeth and I'm trying not to. Don't look at the teeth. What's wrong with your teeth? Hey, how are you? Damn at the teeth. Damn at the teeth. You're trying not to look at the teeth. You're trying to maintain eye contact. So it's not about the big boobs in your face or the messed up teeth in your face. There's something within us that we're like, we look at the things that are different. You know, something is going on. You know, it's crazy. So crazy. I don't know what it is. Or if somebody's got something jacked up on their face, you like keep looking at it. If they got a lazy eye, you're like, what's wrong with your eye? You're trying to like look at their nose, but and that's even weird. This gets totally next level crazy because they know you're looking at it, right? Or it becomes like you can discern that they know. You know that they know. And you're trying to have a conversation with that person. And they know that they're like trying, those chicks, they're just trying to get you to look at her boobs, right? And you're like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not doing it, right? It's crazy. Spiritual warfare out here, ladies and gentlemen. It's all part of it. It's all part of it. Staying conscious. Don't let the devil get you. Don't fall victim. Like I said, it's there's a good song about that too, man. If you guys want to listen to it, it's by Casting Crowns. It all starts with the first look. I think it's called Slow Fade, man. I'm gonna read these lyrics, man. Because this is so good. It's like it starts with that first thought. Now, we get those thoughts. Chantelle just told you she gets those thoughts. I get those thoughts. We all do. We're not exempt from it. When the Bible talks about spiritual warfare, it's talking about those lofty thoughts that you're having, that they come. It's when you dwell on it that it begins to give birth to the next thought. And Kenny posted a comment here a little while ago. He said that your life is based off of choices, right? And in each choice, and you're just responding to the previous choice that you made, even when they're bad choices, right? You start making all these bad choices, and you're like 6 months down the road responding off of still being affected to and making choices based off of a choice you made 6 months ago. You're working at a job, looking for another job because you signed that resume and went to the interview. That was a choice that you did. So everything is based off of choices. And I don't think it's the first sin. So anyway, this song, Slow Fade, I'm not going to play it, but I'm going to read the lyrics. Be careful, little eyes, what you see. It's the second glance that ties your hands as darkness pulls the strings. Be careful, little feet, where you go, for it's the little feet behind you that are sure to follow. It's a slow fade when you give yourself away. It's a slow fade when black and white are turned to gray. And thoughts invade, choices are made, a price will be paid when you give yourself away. People never crumble in a day. It's a slow fade. It's a slow fade. Be careful, little ears, what you hear. This is good, guys. When flattering leads to compromise, the end is always near. Be careful, little lips, what you say. For empty words and promises leave broken hearts astray. It's a slow fade when you give yourself away. Next part. The journey from your mind to your hands is shorter than you're thinking. Be careful. If you think you stand, you just might be sinking. People never crumble in a day. It's a slow fade. Be careful, little eyes, what you see. Anyway, be careful. It's with your entertaining. It's in garbage in, garbage out. It's not what goes into a man that comes out, but what comes. It's not what goes into a man that defiles him, but what comes out. But if you're putting in garbage, more than likely that stuff's going to regurgitate someplace. I remember when I first came to the Lord and was working on renewing my mind. For the life of me, I was tormented by Master P lyrics. Tormented by Master P lyrics. I could not get Master P out of my head. I'm just want to think lofty thoughts, good thoughts, beautiful thoughts. And all I'm thinking, and it's just replaying over and over in my head for days, man, because I had filled my mind up with those thoughts. They're like second nature, and it just comes up. That's why the Bible says to meditate upon the word of God, and it's something about your hearing. Be careful, little ears, what you hear. The Bible talks about hearing, and talks about what you see. The Bible says faith comes by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. Faith comes by hearing. Okay. So what you're listening to, this podcast serves as that, right? Music definitely serves. Lectures, teaching, preaching, whatever you're listening to is going to come back up. Be careful, little ears, what you hear. Be careful, little eyes, what you see. The things that you're looking at throughout the day, guess what you're going to see when you close your eyes? Ooh. It's going to come back up. Garbage in, garbage out. What you're beholding through the eyes, your eyes are the window to the soul. What you're beholding is going to come back up when you close your eyes. Trust me. Job said this. He said, I've made a covenant with my eyes that I might not look upon an evil thing. Then he went on to say, if I happen to look upon this evil, if I happen to look upon this wickedness, may it not cling to me. cling to me. How is looking at something going to allow it to cling to you? Because sometimes you have no choice, right? Wow. About the first times that you've seen a dirty magazine or a pornographic film or something, most of us when we were little, like we just were digging or plundering or found it laying out, whatever the case is, like it does something to you. Like, so you're like a victim to that. You don't really have a choice at that time. But then we're talking about earlier, like what I'm doing now is based off of choices or experiences, moreover, that I had when I was 4. I'm doing this because of encounters I've had in the spirit realm when I was a kid, right? Just because one experience led to the next, one question allowed me to dig and ask another question. Until you go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, then things just kind of start making sense. The same way when it comes to maybe those pornographic images that you've seen and entertained when you were a kid. You think that this is what sex looks like. You think that this is what love looks like. You think that it's supposed to be casual. Like all these people in these magazines and these movies are having sex, and they go on one night stands and it's casual, and you're responding to something that happened to you when you was a kid. It was casual. It's okay. Do it with as many people as you want. It's fun, whatever. You don't know the implications of this stuff. And people are still responding later into their adult life from something that happened to them when they were 4, when they were 7, when they were 11, 12, 13, 16, 20, whatever it is. You're responding to life off of a belief, off of a pattern from an experience that you had, which wasn't even your fault to begin with. So you're essentially the victim. That's why the Bible talks about renewing the mind, man. We got to renew the mind. Get those thoughts out of there. Cast them down, it says. Every imagination and high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, anything that goes against your greater good, anything that goes against that which is true and beautiful, don't entertain it. You have the power to do that. Don't entertain it. Because it leads to patterns, man. Destructive patterns in your life. It's deep. It gets deeper. I'm not even going to go into a lot of everything about sex, spiritual attachments, marriage. Sex is marriage, biblically. When you exchange energy, the Bible says the two become one flesh when you come together like that. The Bible also says that he who joins himself to a harlot becomes one flesh. There's science, secular science, proving this. New theories that you retain the DNA from all of your past sexual partners. You don't just forget about that. Many of you fast and pray to forget about those things, and it still doesn't go away. That's how powerful it is. If you know better, you do better. It's crazy. I'm gonna go into a little bit more detail on that. I've been writing some stuff in the past, but I think I'm gonna include it in my book as well, because it's very spiritual. It's definitely dealing with the spirit realm, coming into one flesh. To becoming one flesh is definitely a spiritual topic that needs to be discussed, and how that's performed and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I've still been writing. I've been doing some more writing, and woke up this morning to get a good bit done too. Covered the topic of fasting. Got a couple pages on fasting in there and the spiritual implications of that. That's it. That'll do. Thank you guys for the support. Like I said, I know this podcast was like in and out and all kind of crazy stuff, but hopefully I'm able to piece this together and bring it home in the end, and so that we can have a good podcast to listen to that didn't mess up too much. And so hopefully that'll be out there, and I'll get to the bottom of what's going on with this internet. Silly people. Maybe it's the rain that's causing it, probably. But yeah, with that being said, I'm gonna say peace and shalom. Thank you guys again for the support. If you would like to support, head on over to Patreon. The link is in the description. Patreon.com/TruthSeekah. Sign up for any level of giving. It's really easy. You can give $1, $5, $10, $15, $20, $25, $30, whatever you want to give. And it would be a blessing to help keep me doing what I'm doing. I couldn't do it without you. So thank you to everyone who is supporting. Also, other ways of giving as well and other ways to support. There's a bunch of links in the description there. You can get a free audiobook. You can sign up on Audible and get that book, and they give us a kickback. You can shop through Amazon. There's t-shirts and merch. And for you guys watching on the podcast, there's this cool little TruthSeekah mug. You can buy a mug. You can buy a t-shirt, all that cool stuff. Whatever you want, man. Anything helps. And so I appreciate all of the support on any level that you're able to do that. If you're not able to afford anything like that and help financially, I do appreciate your prayers and you simply sharing my feed out there and stuff like that, sharing the podcast out, all that stuff. Just everything works. So with that being said, I'm gonna say peace and shalom. Christy Johnson, whatever your name is, says she wants a t-shirt. Link is in the description, my friend. Thank you for all the support. It really means the world. So with that, I'm gonna say peace and shalom. We'll do this again very soon. Shalom. Shalom.
Your will is so much higher than mine, so much higher than mine. Yours is so much deeper than mine, so much deeper than mine.
Well, that does it for this episode, folks. To hear more episodes of the TruthSeekah podcast, head over to TruthSeekah.com. And if you're wanting to support the show and get rewards, go to our Patreon page at patreon.com/TruthSeekah.